From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. UK court acquits former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison-Madueke of bribery charges filed against her. Court of Appeal strikes out Nigerian Broadcasting Commission's appeal, upholds ban on broadcasting fines. Federal government launches digital switchover broadcasting service, unveils free satellite TV platform. And US President Donald Trump signals imminent peace deal with Iran, says agreement could be signed within the next 24 hours.
On business news, federal government rules out plans to introduce IMF recommendations for new taxes on fuel and telecommunication services.
On sports news tonight, Cristiano Ronaldo draws blank as DR Congo hold tournament favorite Portugal to a 1-1 draw at the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
And from the nation's capital, Kogi High Court sentences kidnap kingpin arrested by the DSS to death for the kidnap and murder of his neighbor.
We begin from outside our shores. The trial of former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison-Madueke has ended in a dramatic victory for the former OPEC president, with a London jury acquitting her and two co-defendants of all criminal charges. The verdict brings to a close a case that has attracted international attention for years and was seen as one of the UK's most significant attempts to prosecute alleged corruption linked to Nigeria's oil industry. Our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, has more from the Southern Crown Court in London.
One of the most closely watched corruption trials involving a former Nigerian public official has ended in complete acquittal here in London. After more than 5 months of proceedings and over 46 hours of jury deliberations, a jury at Southwark Crown Court has cleared former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison-Madueke of all 6 charges she faced, including 5 counts of accepting bribes and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery. Her co-defendants, her brother Doye Agama and oil industry executive Olatimbo Ayinde, were also found not guilty on all charges. The UK's National Crime Agency had alleged that while serving as Nigeria's petroleum minister between 2010 and 2015, Alison-Madueke received luxury benefits, including cash, private jet travel, chauffeur-driven vehicles and designer goods in exchange for influence connected to oil sector contracts. Throughout the trial, all 3 defendants denied wrongdoing. Today's verdict represents a major setback for the National Crime Agency following a lengthy international investigation, and it brings to a close one of the most high-profile cases ever brought in the UK against a former senior Nigerian government official. For Alison-Madueke, who became the first female president of OPEC in 2014, the verdict marks a significant legal victory after years of scrutiny in multiple jurisdictions. But while the criminal proceedings in London have now concluded, questions surrounding governance, transparency and accountability in Nigeria's oil sector are likely to continue long after today's verdict. Juliana Olayinka reporting for Channels Television News at Southwark Crown Court.
Back in Nigeria, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has struck out an attempt by the National Broadcasting Commission, the NBC, to overturn a federal high court judgment barring it from imposing fines on radio and television stations. In a unanimous ruling delivered on Wednesday, that's today, the appellate court dismissed the NBC's appeal against declaring its notice of appeal fundamentally defective and legally incompetent. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Jane Inyang identified a critical discrepancy in the identity of the parties involved. While the case of the Federal High Court was between the Incorporated Trustees of Media Rights Agenda and the National Broadcasting Commission, The notice of appeal listed the appellant as the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, a different legal entity. Justice Inyang held that the inconsistency constituted a fundamental defect that stripped the court of jurisdiction to hear the appeal. The court stressed that a valid notice of appeal is the foundation of any appeal and a prerequisite for the exercise of appellate jurisdiction. As a result, it held that there was no appeal in fact and in law before it and struck out the case for incompetence. Leaders and stakeholders of the African Democratic Congress in Kaduna State have held a strategic meeting to discuss ways of repositioning the party ahead of next year's general elections. The meeting, which brought together party executives, candidates and grassroots mobilizers, focused on strengthening internal cohesion and expanding the party support base across the state.
This is the first stakeholder meeting of the African Democratic Congress in Kaduna State, convened to discuss issues affecting the party, especially after the party primaries. The meeting is convened by the ADC governorship candidate in Kaduna State to resolve all issues emanating from the party primaries. He emphasizes the need for unity and commitment among members as preparations gradually begin for the 2027 elections.
We have an Herculean task ahead of us. We have to tighten our belts and reach out to our core contestants. We don't have any choice than to do that. I know some of us have been working tirelessly to reach out to our core contestants to make sure that we are on the same page.
The issue of aggressive membership drive is also highlighted by party leaders who appeal to stakeholders at all levels to put aside personal interest and prioritize the collective objective of strengthening the ADC ahead of the general election.
When people are dying of hunger, people are dying of diseases, and you will not keep care. You go and collect money and ignore the sufferings of those people. I think it's a lesson for us, Ahmed, to take.
If we have to buy a liter of fuel at the rate of 1,400 naira, is anything good coming from them? If we have to buy a loaf of bread at the sum of 2,000 naira, which we made at 300 naira, is anything good for them?
The ADC stakeholders also expressed concern over what they describe as judicial interference in political matters, taking a swipe at Justice Peter Lifu over allegations of disobedience to an appeal court judgment.
It's unfortunate that the judiciary has degenerated to this level in this country. But to God be the glory. We know we have a subsisting judgment by a court of appeal, headed by Justice Muhammad.
The ADC meeting ends with a renewed commitment by party leaders to intensify grassroots engagement, strengthen party structures, and consolidate support across Kaduna State ahead of the general election.
A coalition of northern groups and some associates of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai are calling for an immediate investigation into allegations of a plot to harm the former governor in detention. The group made the call at a news conference in Abuja, where they condemned the continued detention of Mr. El-Rufai, owing to what they describe as incredible bail conditions imposed by the courts. They are also asking the authorities to guarantee the safety and medical care of the former governor, whom they say has been in detention for over 100 days.
We have convened this international press conference because we can no longer remain silent. Malam Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai, a man who dedicated the greater part of his adult life to public service, now finds himself in a situation that raises serious questions about the state of justice and democracy in Nigeria. For over 100 days, he has been held in detention under conditions that many legal minds consider punitive rather than protective of the judicial process. What makes this situation even more disturbing, as the recent public allegation by a political commentator, Timmy Frank, who stated that there is a plot within the security cycle to poison Malam Nasru. In light of the above, the federal government must immediately investigate the serious allegation made by Timmy Frank regarding a plot to poison Malam Nasru El-Rufai. This investigation must be independent, thorough, and its findings must be made public. The federal government must guarantee Malam Nasru El-Rufai's safety. The court should urgently review the current bail condition imposed on Malam Nasru Ahmed El-Rufai and grant him reasonable bail in accordance with the law.
Talking security now, troops of the Nigerian army have successfully rescued 4 kidnapped victims in Katsina state during ongoing operations targeting a notorious bandit leader, Kachala Fulani, and members of his criminal gang. Now, the state government, who made this known, said the victims, who regained their freedom during sustained military offensives in locations believed to be bandit hideouts, have received immediate medical attention for injuries sustained while in captivity. The latest breakthrough comes weeks after security forces rescued the wife of the late Major General Rabi Abubakar. The victims were among those previously seen in a photograph taken during their captivity alongside the late military officer. The residents were also assured that security operatives remain on the trail of Kachala Fulani and other criminal elements, and that operations will continue until those responsible are apprehended and brought to justice. Governor Monday Okpebholo has alleged that residents are recruiting new criminals from outside Edo State to carry out kidnappings and other crimes. While speaking at the 2026 Ministers' Conference organized by the Christian Association of Nigeria in Benin City, Governor Okpebholo said local collaborators now arrange kidnap for ransom operations and hand victims over to hired gangs in the bushes. The governor also warned religious leaders against pleading for arrested suspects, saying such interventions will not be entertained. He assured residents that security agencies are working round the clock to secure the state.
We are in the bush day and night to make sure that this criminal does not settle down in this state. Yes, we are arresting people every now and then. Even yesterday night, day before yesterday night, 3 nights ago, criminals have been arrested. But one thing is this, our own people are also now getting involved. Our people will now go to the north to go and recruit people to come here to help them do the job. They will kidnap somebody and give it to them in the bush. Why tomorrow you will see them driving an expensive car? You will see them doing this. You will see them building houses. How are they getting those things? They will tell you they are Yahoo boys. They are this, they are that. Pastors, I want to beg you in the name of God, please, when you hear that I get somebody, don't come to beg me.
Hours after a Katsina State High Court sentenced a female arms courier arrested by the Department of State Services to death, the High Court in Kogi State has handed down a similar sentence to a man prosecuted by the service for kidnapping and murdering his neighbor, a hotel owner in Obajana. The judgment comes amid a series of high-profile convictions secured through DSS investigations and prosecutions. The trial, presided over by Justice Abdullah Wolu, found Jibrin Halilu guilty of conspiracy and kidnapping under the Kogi State Kidnapping and Other Related Offences Prohibition Law 2023 and sentenced him to death. According to the prosecution, Mr. Halilu and his gang abducted and eventually killed the proprietor of Everready Hotel, Mr. Uche Ofo, from Obajano in March in 2023, despite receiving a 2.5 million naira ransom from the victim's family. In part 2 after the break, federal government launches digital switchover broadcasting service, unveils free satellite TV. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. UK court acquits former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison-Madueke of bribery charges filed against her. Federal government launches digital switchover broadcasting service, unveils free satellite TV platform. And US President Donald Trump signals imminent peace deal with Iran, says agreement could be signed within the next 24 hours. The federal government has launched a digital switchover broadcasting service to allow for fully digitalized television transmission in the country. Now, the digital switchover, which is a collaborative effort of the Ministries of Communication and Digital Economy and that of Information and National Orientation, is undertaken by the Nigeria Communications Satellite. The event also witnessed the unveiling of free TV satellite service at the NIGECOMSAT headquarters in Abuja.
It is heralding the transition from analog to fully digitalized television broadcasting in Nigeria.
Represented by the Director of Public Affairs.
Gathered at the venue of the launch are the Ministers of Communication and Digital Economy, Information and National Orientation, media personalities, and other critical stakeholders in the communication sector. Commencing the official launch, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy set the tune with his remark.
Today, Nigeria joins the rank of nations that have embraced modern digital broadcasting infrastructure to serve their people. And while this may appear to be a broadcasting milestone, its true significance lies in what it means for the ordinary Nigerians.
It is then time for more speeches.
Today, we're not merely launching a digital broadcasting platform. We are launching a new national communications architecture. We're opening a new chapter in Nigeria's digital transformation, and above all, we're unveiling the big picture. The big picture is far greater than technology. It is a national vision.
The Honorable Minister of Communications, thank you for everything that you have done. I wonder how this will have been achieved without your leadership. I remember 2 years ago, in a small meeting, an informal meeting we had at the presidential villa, we told ourselves that we would make sure that in our time, DSO happens in this country.
Afterwards, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives addresses the gathering.
The National Assembly is translating policy understanding into legislative action under the leadership of the Speaker, Right Honorable Abbas Sajide. The 10th House is advancing reforms to strengthen Nigeria's digital future, including stronger data protection and cyber security, incentives to expand affordable broadband to underserved communities.
The Deputy Speaker then leads other dignitaries to launch and unveil the digital switchover. The digital switchover launch opens the communication sector and entertainment industry for digitalized services, as it promises to boost socio-economic activities and create job opportunities for Nigerians.
Now, imagine seeing a trusted television broadcaster, a channel's television broadcaster like me or an influential Nigerian such as Apostle Folorunsho Alakija on your screen, telling you exactly where to invest your money. Well, it sounds real, it looks real, but then it is a complete lie. Now, this dangerous wave of online investment scams see fraudsters using advanced artificial intelligence, that's AI, to clone voices, fake video footage, and impersonate trusted personalities to steal your hard-earned money. While these scammers appear unrelenting, Apostle Folorunsho Alakija, whose image has also been used, warns Nigerians to be wary of these schemes.
We live in an era where technology enriches a few. It has definitely come to my awareness that my name is being used falsely. My image is being cloned. My voice is being cloned. Concerning advertisements, videos, publications, saying that I'm asking people to come and invest. Invest in what? It's absolutely ridiculous. I've never said that. I've never had anything to do with anything like that. I would definitely like to warn the public that they should be careful about opening any links that could be suspicious, that would have my name or the names of other people on it, saying that they're asking them to come and invest in something. The public may be wondering that even as they're listening to what I'm saying, that, okay, how are they supposed to know? My suggestion is that as far as my name is concerned, they would have to go to my Instagram page, and it's Alakija Official. Nothing in front of it, nothing in the middle, nothing at the end of it, just those two words. That's the way to know whether what they're listening to or watching or looking at is a scam or not.
Expressing concern over this development, she calls on the relevant authorities to ensure these fraudsters are given proper attention, fished out, and appropriately dealt with.
If they're already doing something about it, it's obvious that it's not enough. These people are using AI, and AI is supposed to help the general public. But the way it's being used now, it's definitely being used negatively. And it's not helping us, it's not helping our nation. I believe that the police and everybody that's under the law, really, should do something about it. I believe that the time has come, otherwise it'll just get worse. They need to fish these people out.
So now let's head to the nation's capital, where Terry Ikume is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Terry, you are real indeed. Great to see you again.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has signed an MOU with the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, as well as the New Era Foundation, to operationalize a women's support and rehabilitation home for survivors of gender-based violence. Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyaino, says survivors need more than medical care, noting that protection, psychosocial support, and rehabilitation are critical to their recovery and reintegration into the society. Meanwhile, the Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, said the facility will run as a national pilot program which will bring together government, private sector, philanthropic organizations, and civil society under a survivor-centered approach.
Today's signing is therefore a commitment to action and a demonstration of what can be achieved when government,
civil society and philanthropy work together to address complex social challenges. So as we move from signing today to implementation, I encourage all of us to remain focused on delivering a sustainable model of care that restores hope, protects dignity, and empowers survivors to build their lives. Ultimately, this is about the women and the young women, the young ladies who will benefit from this intervention. This collaboration aligns very strongly with the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, particularly his administration's commitment to social inclusion, the protection of vulnerable populations, and improved access to essential services.
A charge of action is that the memorandum is not a mere symbolic agreement or paper work for the archives, but an operational covenant that demands transparent timelines, strict accountability, and immediate implementation. I said we don't want to be the capital of rape. And that's why we're coming from every angle. From the preventive angle, where we're trying to eradicate why should anybody be raped. We look at the social causes and other root causes and addressing them, and collectively we can. To even protecting those that are affected. Structures such as this collaboration will afford for us not only to prevent but also to protect.
Well, still to come on the news at 10, federal government rules out plans to implement IMF recommendations for new taxes on fuel and telecommunication services. That's on business news. Do stay with us.
Where your
Welcome back to the news at 10. President Bola Tinubu has described the federal government's provision of housing units for judges in the country as a reinforcement of judicial independence and a fortification of a vital pillar of democracy. The words of the president were relayed by Vice President Kashim Shettima during the commissioning of 10 5-bedroom duplexes for judges of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Our correspondent Kumbi Aboluwade reports.
A once empty land situated in the Katempe district of the nation's capital in October 2024 now has 40 fully furnished housing units erected on it for judges of the Federal High Court, the FCT High Court, and the Court of Appeal. This gathering, which has dignitaries such as the Vice President of Nigeria, legal practitioners, and top management staff of the FCT administration present, is to commission 10 units of this housing scheme for judges of the Federal High Court.
Delivering this project as promised demonstrates remarkable responsiveness. It is gratifying to witness the accommodation challenges of judges being surmounted so decisively.
The Minister of the FCT further reiterates the importance of the initiative while appealing to the judges to ensure optimum maintenance of the houses.
This the federal government has provided, but I believe that when we come back here in the next 1 year, it will still look like this. You know, we have problem, a culture of not having culture of maintenance culture. Most people say it's lacking in us. I don't want to believe so. All around these areas, I have told the ESFCD that these areas will be named Judges Zone. We have acquired every property around here. We don't want any other person to stay within this vicinity.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, and he describes the initiative as part of the federal government's effort in fortifying the judiciary.
We are here not just to commission buildings, but to fortify a vital pillar of our democracy, the judiciary. For too long, we have talked about the independence of the judiciary in abstract terms. But independent thought requires an independent and secure environment. You cannot expect judges to dispense justice without fear or favor. In their basic comfort, security, and peace of mind are left to chance.
With the speeches done, the official commissioning takes effect and a tour follows.
Humanity and justice.
Judges' quarters consist of 10 5-bedroom duplexes, 10 3-bedroom domestic quarters, dedicated power infrastructure and utility services, an event center, among others. From Abuja, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
And that's it from the nation's capital. Back to Ayo in Lagos for the rest of the news.
Thank you so much, Terry. Investments in aviation and innovative airfare financing are among factors that can make air travel more accessible and affordable across the continent. Rwandan President Paul Kagame says aviation investment should be viewed as a catalyst for economic growth and regional integration, while finance experts argue that sustainable financing models can help reduce pressure on airlines and ultimately benefit travelers through improved services and competitive airfares.
The push for a truly connected Africa is gathering pace, with leaders and industry experts insisting that the single African air transport market system can only succeed through bold reforms and strategic investments. Rwandan President Paul Kagame says investment in African aviation should be seen as a major opportunity to drive economic growth.
Investment in African aviation should not be viewed as a risk, but as a strategic lever that drives economic growth. Development banks, sovereign wealth funds, institutional investors, and private capital all have a role to play in this transformation.
Finance and aviation experts at the conference say access to modern aircraft and innovative financing solutions is critical for the survival and expansion of African airlines.
African airlines are suffering with double bind. First, they have very limited access to capital. We all know it. And secondly, they face very high transaction costs to do their business.
We realized that the leasing platform was a solution that needed, such that airlines can have access to capital. Airlines needed access to modern fleets. They needed access to stop struggling for even these rentals.
Building capacity for the next generation of aviation professionals is also key.
How are the pipeline of aviation professionals from Africa going to be developed in all of these domains? That is why we're pushing for this. That's why SATAM is so important, because it feeds into the African Union integration agenda.
With governments, financiers, and industry leaders rallying behind a common vision, stakeholders say the time has come to turn Africa's aviation ambitions into reality and make seamless connectivity across the continent a lived experience. From the Togolese capital, Lome, Bukola Jo Uketumbi, Channels Television News.
The Nigeria Higher Education Foundation, NHEF, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Education, has convened the NHEF University Advancement Program Workshop, a national capacity building initiative designed to institutionalize professional advancement practices across Nigeria's federal universities. The event, which is facilitated by Dr. Anne Okaume, Executive Director of the NHEF University Advancement Program, seeks to expose participants to global best practices through expert-led sessions, interactive discussions, and peer learning opportunities.
In reality, you would have many.
Raising the bar for institutionalized learning is at the core of the Nigeria Higher Education Foundation, NHEF. The non-profit organization is dedicated to enhancing the capacity of higher education institutions in Nigeria and raising awareness about the vital role of Nigerian universities in social, economic, and political development.
You might decide that you want to just focus on your major gift donors, and you have tiers for them.
At the University Advancement Workshop program, participants explore critical areas of university advancement using the workshop led by international advancement expert.
We also asked to list the 5 projects.
Participants engage in interactive training sessions to enable them learn how to identify and engage alumni, build meaningful donor relationships, develop fundraising strategies, strengthen university communications, cultivate partnerships, and create sustainable advancement structures within their institutions.
You're looking at the amount they are giving you, but you're also looking at the consistency. And so from your annual fund, you're identifying consistent donors. You're also identifying the capacity of these donors. And you begin to implement strategies that can help you both to retain them and to move them up the ladder.
Through this intensive training, university leaders and designated advancement professionals aim to acquire the knowledge, skills, and practical tools required to establish and strengthen effective advancement functions within their institutions.
In recent time, there has been kind of paucity of funds to take care of every institutional challenges, as more people, more young people are, having that desire to engage in academic attainment. So are the demands, high demands coming up from the universities. And because of that, the funds are no longer sufficient.
A member of the technical working group established by the Federal Ministry of Education lays emphasis on the importance of strategic partnerships to the growth of educational institutions in the country.
Education is so expensive that you cannot just leave it in the hands of government alone. The initiative is a wonderful initiative, very commendable, so that other stakeholders can also partake in the funding of university education in Nigeria.
Using strategic partnerships and transformative programs as a tool for change, the NHEF works to strengthen Nigeria's tertiary education sector and equip institutions and scholars to drive national development. Ewa Oluwaogunbodede, Channels Television News.
Business News is up next with Dominic Iwiwo. Dominic?
Thank you, Ayo. And on business news, the federal government said it has no plan to adopt or consider introducing new taxes on petroleum products and telecommunication services, which is proposed by the International Monetary Fund in its latest Article 4 consultation report on Nigeria. This is contained in a statement released today by the Information and Public Relations Unit of the Federal Ministry of Finance. According to the statements, the government clarifies that the IMF recommendations are advisory and do not represent approved policies, adding that any tax changes would only be implemented through established legal and institutional processes. The clarification comes just a week after the IMF recommended a range of revenue-enhancing measures as part of efforts to strengthen government revenue and improve fiscal sustainability. Outside our shores, the U.S. Federal Reserve has kept its interest rates unchanged for the fourth time in over 7 months, between 3.5 and 3.75% in the new central bank chief Kelvin Wash's first meeting. The federal funds rate has held in its range since the U.S. Fed lowered rates by 0.75 of a percentage point in the latter part of 2025. However, the policymakers say they expect a hike in borrowing costs later this year amid growing concerns that U.S. inflation lodged above the Fed's 2% target. And back home, Nigeria's stock market ended midweek trading session in the red, extending its loss for a third consecutive day this week amid sustained profit taking on selected large and mid-cap equities. Willie Bong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market report. It's day 3 of, can I say, no gains that the NGX has won. Say the losing streak is continuing on the NGX for the third straight day. But let's look at the markets index today, we see it down nearly 0.5%, 0.49% at 240,802 points. That's about the support level we're looking at, and if we don't want to lose that, we're going to be watching that. The market cap today, we see that 154.445 trillion naira. The market lost about 39.96 billion naira in total. Now, corn oil lost about 3 naira. We have some stocks there that dragged market down. UBA lost about 20 kobo, and we also see First Oil Co. that lost about 1 naira 50 kobo. Access lost about 45 kobo, and we're seeing Zenith losing about 1 naira 35 kobo. But the biggest ones, the biggest losers today, the big guys that dragged the market down, see Gary go down about 10%. That lost about 113 naira 20 kobo, and that's why we see it as 1,019 naira there. The Okumu oil that also lost 157 naira, big losses for, and that put the market value at 1,418 naira, down 9.97%. You also see Red Star Express. But that doesn't mean that the market, they have gainers. Let's look at the chart and we see that Nemet, that gained about 9.47% today to close at 9.25 kobo. We also see Cornerstone in the green, 5 naira 90 kobo, good one, and VFD Group, we see it at 10 naira 85 kobo, up 7.96%. Meanwhile, trading in shares of Fortis Global Insurance has been suspended, and that's due to their share reconstruction. And those are the highlights for today. Will Ibong signing out.
Now let's find out how major global stock markets ended midweek trading session. And that's it on Business News. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. The U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. agreement with Iran will be signed shortly and could be done tomorrow as U.S. officials reveal details of the deal. The 14-paragraph agreement says Iran will never have a nuclear weapon and also commit to a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of the country. Here's Simon Pusey from our London studio with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Donald Trump has warned that the Iran deal set to be formally signed on Friday in Switzerland is not final. He says the US could resume attacks if the agreement doesn't work out. The deal between the US and Iran has not been revealed, but it's reported to include the lifting of oil sanctions on Iran. The US president was speaking during the final day of the G7 summit in France.
This agreement's about one thing, that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
I think this indicates two things. Number one, they're really not happy with the terms. And number two, I'm not sure people know what the terms are yet. The only thing I think will come out of it is some loosening of traffic through the Strait of Hormuz.
Meanwhile, Israeli forces have carried out new strikes in southern Lebanon, according to state media, despite renewed criticism from US President Donald Trump of Israel's actions in the country. On Wednesday, Israeli jets struck the Nabati al-Faqwa area and the outskirts of neighboring Kfar Tebnit. On Tuesday, Trump said Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu needed to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon.
I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody.
The head of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the worst of the Ebola outbreak may still be to come. It's after authorities in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo said they were searching for a 6-year-old Ebola patient and her mother after armed men stormed the hospital where they were being treated. Ebola treatment facilities have come under attack multiple times during the ongoing outbreak, in which almost 200 deaths and 840 cases have been confirmed.
We saw that this outbreak, we have more cases, more deaths,
if we compare with all other outbreaks at 4 weeks of the declaration, after 4 weeks of declaration, it means if we don't stop this outbreak now, knowing that we are in an urban area, we are in an area where we don't have security we need.
Vice President Teodora Nguema Obiang Mangwe has said Equatorial Guinea's government has resigned after failing to meet its objectives. Obiang, who is also the son of the president, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, said the Prime Minister had presented the resignation of all members of the government because it had barely reached 10% of its targets. He did not specify the targets, but a statement by the ruling party said the president had observed that the government fostered corruption and failed to diversify the economy. President Obiang is the world's longest-serving leader, who has ruled the country since 1979. The son of the jailed former Brazilian president Jair Bolsonaro has been convicted by Brazil's highest court of pursuing U.S. intervention during his father's coup trial last year. Eduardo Bolsonaro was charged last year with lobbying U.S. authorities to help the ex-president by imposing tariffs or sanctions on Brazil. A former congressman in Brazil, Eduardo, relocated to the US in 2025 before his father, who governed the country from January 2019 to December 2022, was found guilty of plotting a military coup and given a 27-year sentence. Writing on social media, Eduardo called the conviction baseless and senseless. The central Japanese prefecture of Tochigi has held drills simulating an emergency response to a wild bear intrusion at a school amid an uptick of bear sightings. Just around a week ago, repeated sightings of a black bear brought a nearby city of over 500,000 residents to a complete standstill. The bear was eventually subdued in a suburban residential neighborhood. To quell lingering fears, the head of Tochigi's prefecture's Wildlife Countermeasures Department said Wednesday's drills were part of a series held to perfect authorities' response. Local police, accredited hunters and government officials participated in the drills, which included how to identify a wild bear, how to tranquilize one, and how to administer bear spray. And a massive inflatable World Cup football has been filmed being blown along a road in San Salvador. It broke free in heavy rain on the capital of El Salvador, causing alarm for oncoming traffic, although no injuries or damage has been reported.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Cristiano Ronaldo's record equaling 6th World Cup got off to a disappointing start as the Democratic Republic of Congo secured their first ever point at the finals, drawing 1-1 with Portugal in their Group K match. Yohan Wissa's header cancelled out Yao Neves' early goal as the African side held their own against the tournament favourites. Meanwhile, Argentina captain Lionel Messi says it's an honor becoming the joint all-time leading goal scorer after his hat-trick in a 3-0 win over Algeria in their opening game. The 38-year-old praised the unity and strength of the Argentina squad and also the fans. He hopes Argentina can build on the win as they look to become the first team since Brazil in 1962 to win back-to-back World Cup titles. And Dutch winger Cody Gakpo has warned his team to be wary of the threat from his Liverpool teammate Alexander Isak when they face Sweden in Houston, Texas on Saturday. The three-time runners-up are under pressure after 2-2 draw against Japan's side in their opening match. Despite the slow start, Gakpo is confident of his team's chances of going the distance. It's back to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. A United Kingdom court today acquitted former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison-Madueke of all bribery charges filed against her. And the federal government has launched a digital switchover broadcasting service and also unveiled its free satellite TV platform. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun from everyone here. You have a good night.